Recently, you talked about ditching patience, but I think patience helps in the long run. Why do you think ditching patience will help? This is so fascinating. So patience in the long run is the only thing that I can tell you is guaranteed to fail. There may be some advantage to the reason that people are telling you to have patience in the short term. Because here's what anybody telling you to have patience is trying to get you to understand one very simple thing. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, it takes a very long time. And so if you go into it and you're playing this short-term gain game, chances are you're going to do things that are damaging to your reputation long-term. That to me is not patience. That to me is playing the long game. You want to play the long game. You want to be authentic. You want to be a good person. You want to do good things for people. You want to invest in other people, not because you're being patient. Because patient to me is a very passive position. It's saying, look, I'm not going to go all out today because at the end of the day, this is going to take time. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I need to pace myself. That's what people hear when you tell them to be patient. I know because I've seen it play out thousands of times. So what happens when you tell people be patient is you're telling them, hey, look, this is going to take a really long time anyway. So pace yourself. Here's the reality. And you're going to feel the truth of this instantly. Most dreams never come true. Most of the people that you know, most of the dreams that you've had for yourself, they haven't come true. Why not? Because they're brutally difficult. The world is going to resist you. It is not going to be easy to overcome entropy, to overcome inertia. The only way that you're going to overcome that stuff is to go all out every day, knowing that it's going to take a long time. But the only way that that dream is going to come true, even over that long period of time, is if you're going all out every day. So literally a mantra in my life, and I cannot stress this enough. This is a cornerstone of why I've been able to achieve at the level that I've been able to achieve. Every day, everything I'm doing, I'm asking, why can't it be done faster? Why can't I accomplish more right now? That it's not okay to put something off even till tonight. I need to do it right now. Now, you need to get very good at prioritizing, because if you're trying to do everything right now, you're going to accomplish nothing. And if you're trying to be gimmicky or do shortcuts, all of that's going to fail, because none of that is playing the long game. But if ever you're allowing yourself to slow down because you simply are acknowledging that this stuff takes time, I'm telling you, it's never going to work. You've got to go all out. You've got to create momentum.
Refine your goals. I don't know what ambitions you've had up until now, but this weekend would be a good time to start the process. We're going to talk about our goals workshop before our session is over this weekend. Maybe that will help stimulate you to set some higher goals, reach for some higher purpose, go for something beyond what you thought you could do. By the time this weekend's over, you might double, triple, quadruple the amount of goals, purpose, all the things you think you can accomplish. You could multiply that by 10 by the time we finish here on Sunday. Believe in yourself. Yes, you got to believe in God, and you got to believe in the community, and you've got to believe in the possibilities. You've got to believe in the economy. You've got to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. But here's the big one. Believe in yourself. There isn't a skill you can't learn. There isn't a discipline you can't try. There isn't a class you couldn't take. There isn't a book you couldn't read. If it's written in some other language, you just get it translated and read it. Ask for wisdom. This is communication of the highest source. Ask for wisdom. Ask for wisdom that creates answers. Ask for the wisdom that creates faith to believe things are possible. In King Solomon's day, there was the dilemma of two mothers who claimed the same baby. And the question was, whose baby is this? This mother says, it's mine. The other mother says, no, it's mine. Solomon said, bring me the baby. They brought him the baby, and he raised the sword. He said, I'm going to cut this baby in half and give one half to this mother and one half to this mother. And as he raised his sword, sobbingly, the real mother said, no, 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 don't cut the baby in half. Give it to her, who was not the real mother. Solomon says, now I know who's the real mother. See, that is so wise. And the moment was such drama. But Solomon, the wisest of the wise, knew what to do to settle the deal. Ask for wisdom to deal with the challenges of today and tomorrow, to deal with the challenges your family brings you. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Conserve your time. I must learn to do this. How much time have I got left? Not an unlimited supply. How many of these weekends can I do? Not 1,000, just a few, maybe a handful. Sometimes we get faked out. Bill Bailey says, the average person says, I got 20 more years. No, Bill says you got 20 more times. If you go fishing once a year, you've only got 20 more times to go fishing. Not 20 years. That fakes you out. I got 20 years. No, 20 times. See, that brings it right down to the real stuff. 20 times. How many more seminars like this? Not 1,000, a few, just a few. So would I mumble and stumble? Would I give you less than my best when I've only got a few more to give? And the answer is no, of course not. If you're a person of some dignity and quality, you wouldn't let that happen.
You guys have to understand that confidence is not something, and I've said this for so long, I've dedicated so many years of my life to getting this message out, but it's still not registering with a lot of people, all right? And I want to make this something that you cannot ever forget. You have to understand right now that if you wait for yourself to just naturally feel confident, and you look at other people and you see, oh, that person seems like they've really got their shit together, and they seem so confident all the time, and they always know what to do, and they always listen. You are confusing yourself out of the reality and victimizing yourself unintentionally. And here's what I mean by that. That person that you see who appears to have their shit together all the time, first of all, has probably earned the right to feel that way. Now, we all know some cocky fuckers who have never accomplished anything in their life but think they're awesome. And we see this a lot at like the lower levels, right? And it's usually the people who think they know everything and that they're so great and you know, but their life doesn't reflect it, that they are, you know, the people that think they know the most. You know, when we talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect, and if you Google that, it'll tell you what it is. But basically, it's a false sense of confidence because you don't really know. And right now we're seeing that a lot in society. You know, we're seeing a lot of people talk about a lot of shit that they fucking have no idea what they're talking about because their favorite celebrity or their favorite influencer who posts pictures of their fucking asshole on the internet is telling them to do that. Okay. So what does real confidence, where does it come from? How do we get it? And how do we make sure that we keep it? Well, here's the thing you need to understand, guys. When you do everything you can, when you, on a daily level, and this is why I talk about win the day, when you literally execute on everything that you could and you do everything that you can, you have no other option but to be moved into a place of confidence. And let me give you an example. Right now, I have a contest going on at my office, an 8-week transformation challenge that we're doing with First Form. We do this many times a year. But this time we're doing it in the office, okay? And I made a bet that anybody in the office, and we have hundreds of employees, that beats me in the next 8 weeks for a transformation, I will pay $1,000 to. So here we are 5 weeks in, and there's a couple people who are doing really good, like really good. And I'm doing really good. I've done literally everything I can fucking do. Okay. I've done every cardio. I've ate every piece of food perfectly. I've done all my supplements perfectly. I've done all my weight workouts perfectly. I've given everything that I can. So I can't be upset that I may have some people do better than me. I feel very confident about what I've done and very confident in my abilities. Okay. And this is just a small example of how this works. I'm not threatened by anybody. I'm not insecure that someone is doing a good thing. But when you lack confidence, that's where these feelings come from. That's when jealousy creeps in. That's when fear creeps in. That's when insecurity creeps in. And that affects your anxiety levels and the way you think about yourself and the actions that you take. So the first step to curing this is understanding that what you put in, you will get out.
Now let's summarize the ideas around using action to conquer fear and to build confidence and get moving towards success. First, be active, not passive. Strive to be someone who does things. Be a doer, not a don'ter. Don't wait until conditions are perfect to act. Conditions will never be perfect. Expect future obstacles and difficulties and solve them as they arise. Remember that ideas alone won't bring success. It's important to dream, but your ideas have value only when you act on them. Use action to cure fear and gain confidence. Do what you fear doing, and the fear of doing it disappears. Try it and see. Don't waste time getting ready to act. If you have trouble getting started, use the mechanical method to move your spirit. Don't wait for the spirit.
We're talking about self-confidence and the things that help build it as well as the things that can destroy it. One of the major obstacles to building self-confidence is often your own memory. Lack of confidence is one result of what I call a mismanaged memory. Here's how a mismanaged memory works.
Your brain is a lot like a bank. Every day you make thought deposits in your mind bank. And these thought deposits grow and become your memory. When you settle down to think, or when you face a problem, in effect, you say to your memory bank, "What do I already know about this?" Your memory bank automatically answers and supplies you with bits of information relating to this situation that you've deposited on previous occasions. Your memory, then, is the basic supplier of raw material for your new thought. Now, the teller in this memory bank of yours is very reliable. He does exactly what you tell him to do. If you approach him and say, "Mr. Teller, let me withdraw some thoughts I deposited in the past proving I'm inferior to just about everybody else," he'll say, "Right away, sir. Recall how you failed 2 times previously when you tried this? Recall what your 6th grade teacher told you about your inability to accomplish things? Recall what you overheard your fellow workers saying about you last week?" And so on and so forth. This teller will continue digging out of your brain thought after thought that proves you're inadequate. But suppose you visit this memory teller and you give him this request. "Mr. Teller, I face a difficult situation. Can you supply me with any thoughts that will give me reassurance?" And again, the teller says, "Right away, sir." But this time, he delivers thoughts you deposited earlier that say you can succeed. Recall that excellent job you did in a similar situation before? Recall how much confidence Mr. Sawyer placed in you. Recall the respect your friends have given you for your abilities in this area, and so forth. Your teller lets you withdraw the thought deposits that you want to withdraw. After all, it's your bank. So there are 2 specific things you can do to build confidence through efficient management of your memory bank. First, deposit only positive thoughts in your memory bank. After all, everyone faces plenty of unpleasant, embarrassing, and discouraging situations. But unsuccessful and successful people deal with these situations in opposite ways. Unsuccessful people dwell on them and make them prominent in their memory. They don't take their minds away from them. At night, the unpleasant situation is often the last thing they think about. Successful people, on the other hand, don't give these situations another thought. Once they've gotten through them, they don't put them in the forefront of their memories. Quite the contrary. Successful people specialize in putting positive thoughts into their memory banks. Imagine what would happen to your car's engine if you scooped up a handful of dirt every morning and put it into the crankcase. That engine would soon be a mess. It wouldn't be able to do what you wanted it to. Negative thoughts have the same effect on your mind and your confidence. They produce needless wear and tear on your mental motor. They put you on the side of the road while others drive ahead. So get in the habit of depositing positive thoughts into your memory bank. Just before you go to sleep, count your blessings. Recall the many good things you can be thankful for. Your family, your friends, your health. Recall the good things you saw people do today and the good things you heard them say. Recall your own personal victories and accomplishments, large and small. Go over the reasons why you're glad to be alive. The second thing you can do to build confidence through efficient management of your memory bank is to withdraw only positive thoughts from it. When you're alone with your thoughts, driving your car or having a quick lunch, or maybe on a business trip alone in the evening, don't dwell on whatever problems or troubles may be in your life at the moment. Remember instead the positive things, the good times you've had, the successes, the reasons that you're doing as well as you are. Mental health professionals tell us that some people create, in effect, their own private museums of mental horror by excluding positive thoughts from their memories and dwelling on negative ones to the point of obsession. These are obviously extreme cases, but many of us tip the balance to the negative in our memory banks, and that can often impede our personal progress. And whether the psychological problem is big or little, the cure comes when you learn to quit drawing negatives from your memory bank and draw positives instead. Don't build mental monsters. Refuse to withdraw unpleasant thoughts from your memory bank. When you remember situations of any kind, concentrate on the good part of the experience. Forget the bad. If you find yourself thinking about the negative side, turn your mind to something else. Take a nap, go for a bike ride, work in the yard. You don't need negative thoughts. You can live much better on a pure diet of positive ones. The encouraging thing that you'll discover if you practice these attitudes is that your mind will cooperate with you. Your mind really doesn't want the negative thoughts. If you ignore them, your teller will eventually cancel them out of your memory bank.
One of the most common mental monsters we build is our impression of other people and how we measure up to them. People often fear other people. Why is it? Why do so many people feel self-conscious around other people? And what can we do about it? Fear of other people is a big, big fear. But there is one way to conquer it. You can overcome that fear if you learn to put people into proper perspective.
I remember when I was inducted into the Army back in 1942, I was a very shy, confused young man, and I thought that everybody was bigger than I was, stronger, smarter, in every way superior to me. And my experience in the induction center really taught me something different. I saw maybe 1,000 people come through there who were tall, skinny, smart, dumb. In any event, they were all just almost as confused as I was. In fact, in many cases, much more confused. So I started gaining a sense of worth about myself, realizing that the people that are my peers are just as confused and just as scared as I am about this world that we're entering into.
When this event became real is when you enrolled yourself. Before that, it was an idea. And there's lots of people who intended to be here, but they never locked it in. So I lock it in advance, because if I hadn't locked it in after Date with Destiny, there's no way I would have gone on a plane, flown all the way there, and then put myself in a room for 7 days and nights. But I'm grateful I did. And I only did it because I already locked it in place. So I encourage you, number one, figure out at least twice a year, what are you going to go to that's going to make you grow and expand? How many of you feel like these last couple days have been some of the most growth you've had in a couple of days here? Say aye. Then why settle for this one time? Again, I'm happy to do it with you. I have other programs if you want to come, but you're not limited to me. I don't care where you go. But before you leave here, you should schedule what's next. Do you know why? Because how many were looking forward to this for a long time and very excited about this? I'm curious. How many were quite scared about this shit? By the way, I'm curious. But here's what's interesting. After you achieve a goal, have you ever done this? Worked your ass off, achieved a goal, and you feel good, and then there's kind of a drop. Because we need something compelling to be going after, so we keep growing. So I always, right before I achieve a goal, I immediately set what the next thing is, and I lock it in my schedule, because otherwise there's that drop. And if I have the next thing, it's like you're going from peak to peak, as opposed to peak to drop to peak to drop. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say aye. And the other thing I've learned, I taught this to all my children. And one time my daughter was talking to me, she's like, Dad, you're so brilliant. And I said, you're absolutely right. And I said, honey, I am a smart human being. I've worked hard to be a smart human being, but probably my greatest gift is I do not let opportunity escape my grasp. If there's an opportunity and it scares me, if there's an opportunity and I don't have the time, if there's an opportunity and I don't have the money, in the early days of my life, all three of them, I didn't have time, the money, and I was fearful. I make myself do it because I know that if I don't get myself to do that, I'm not going to keep growing. My teacher, Jim Rohn, used to teach me this. He said, Tony, if you really want to have an amazing life, you got to learn to stretch yourself. I said, well, I do stretch myself. He goes, well, let me give you my philosophy of stretching. He said, stretching means if you find yourself saying I can't do something, then you must say I must do it immediately and do it with no hesitancy. Because if you hesitate, it's like the firewalk. If you went up to the firewalk, most of you got up there, made your move, and rocked. Some of you got up there and were like, fuck, oh, shit, oh, what am I doing here? And the longer you wait, the what it is, harder it is. So you just train yourself to just do it. Instinctively push yourself. So if I say I can't, then I must. Now, when he first told me this, I said, well, if I can't, I must. If I can't jump off a cliff, then I must. He said, no, be intelligent. But he said, if you find yourself saying I can't do something, I don't want to do something, but you know if you made yourself do it, you're going to be a better human being, then you must do it. Don't hesitate, do it immediately. And so some people say, well, that's not a very safe life. That's not a very secure life. If you want security, go to prison. If you want freedom, this is how you live. So once you've got events where you're going to make huge growth, the next thing you want to do, throw it up to number 2, is you really want to get yourself a coach or a mentor. Why do you want a coach or a mentor? You're smart. Well, I got a series of mentors. I've got 3 men in my life who are the smartest humans I know, some of the most successful people in the world in business, spiritually, emotionally well-developed. They're 18 to 20 years my senior. And guess what? I come to them all the time for accountability and feedback. Because as much as I know to drive myself, you don't do brain surgery on yourself even if you're a brain surgeon. Does that make sense? You need some feedback from the outside because you're still in it. And so getting a coach is critical. Now I get paid $1 million a year to coach someone and I only take on 7 clients and I got now a 5-year waiting list. So I'm not looking for any coaching clients. But I've trained all of my coaches to do the same things I do and they don't charge $1 million a year, not even close. So you can use our coaches if you want or someone else, but what you don't want to do is have a friend be your coach. Why? I'll give you an example. A few years back, I was on this talk show that's in the morning. I won't mention the name, but it has a bunch of ladies. What's the name of it? The View. That's right, I won't mention it. And I was on The View, and it was when Barbara Walters was still on, and Barbara's a brilliant, amazing lady. And they had me on in January, and I was doing a piece on New Year, New Life, how to transform your energy in your body. And when I was done talking, it was a little 7-minute segment, all 5 women, I guess it was, 5 women followed me into the green room, literally, during the break. And they said, listen, before the TV comes back on, we want to do this. You know, tell us more, how are we going to do this? And we want to do this together. And when they said they wanted to do it together, I was like, hold it. I said, can I be direct with you on this? I said, Barbara, you know how much I respect you and all of you, but can I be direct? They said, well, yeah. I said, well, I respect you. You're some of the best in the world at what you do as journalists. I said, you have an incredible show, #1 radio show. You've been in the years. Barbara, you're a role model for anyone who wants to be successful, man or woman. But there's an area of your life none of you have mastered, your body. I'm not being harsh. I have to tell the truth because the truth is how you get to the things to change. And you should have seen them look around and be like, oh my God, he just said we're fat. I didn't say they're fat. I said you haven't mastered this area of your life. And I said, here's the problem. If you guys get together now and none of you have mastered this area and you're all friends, you'll do this for 2 or 3 days, but about the 3rd or 4th day in, one of you's going to go, I want to go to Starbucks and have a mocha smocha something, whatever that shit's called, right? And someone else can say, no, we got to work out. And they go, but can't we just stop for a few minutes? And then someone else will say, well, we could stop for a few minutes. And then you're fucked. Because you'll break the pattern. I said, have you ever done this before? And they started shaking their heads. They said, I've had multiple times. I said, don't do this together. I know you love each other. That's why you shouldn't do it together. Get a professional. And when you go, I want to mocha smoke, they go, shut the fuck up and run! You need someone who's not going to listen to your bullshit and is going to push you until you develop the discipline, until you develop the skill. And even then, they're going to know the little things, the 2mm things you don't know that could save you a decade. How many follow this? Say I. So don't get a good coach, get an outstanding one. And the problem is I created the coaching industry. Before I came along, no one called himself a coach in this industry. There wasn't this industry. You had to be a therapist and you got approved by insurance. And I came along and said, these therapists are sitting down with people for 7 effing years and I can wipe out that phobia in 20 minutes or an hour. And so I went around and I said, I got to figure out who I am. I'm not a motivator. I never was. You know, I'm not a guru. What am I? And I thought, well, as an athlete, who influenced me the most were my coaches. And many of them were not as good as I was, but I'm in the game. I'm in the forest. They're outside of it. They could see things and give me cues, and they cared about me. So I said, that's what I am. Forget athletics. I'm a coach. I love people. I'm not better than they are, but I'm going to see things they can't see because this is my focus, right? And so I did that, and for many years I called myself a coach. No one did, and I remember I was on Larry King Live, and I just started coaching President Clinton, and he goes, what is this coaching thing? You're not a coach. You don't coach athletes. I said, well, actually I do. But I said, no, here's what I mean by coach. And I was about to give it up. and like within the next 6 months, everybody was a coach. Therapists started calling themselves coaches. Financial planners started calling themselves coaches. It became a term of art. Now I hate it. You know why? There's no standard, right? Anybody can say they'll call themselves a coach. Anybody go out there and do it. They go to some class, some idiot teaches them 3 skills. They've never produced the fucking result in their life, and they're a coach. So I feel like I created a bastard industry. And so like any industry, there's good and bad. You got to find somebody who's outstanding. Don't settle for somebody who's good, and don't settle for somebody because you like them. Because liking them is a nice thing. You need somebody who has the skill to get you there. Who's with me on this? Say I. And why do we want a coach? So you measure at least twice a month, some of you 3 times a month. Because if you don't measure, you can't manage what you don't measure. Does that make sense? And you gotta measure it, and it's easy with your children, with your life, with your businesses. You're gonna get caught up. You need somebody helping you to stay on target for what you want for your life. How many followers? Say I. And it's cheap. Most coaching is inexpensive, and the people that overcharge, don't go to them. But get somebody who's really great. And then finally, thirdly, and this is what I want to show you this morning, you need a daily practice. And a daily practice that's going to put you in the best state possible regularly. And so there's 2 parts of the daily practice. One is you want to feed your mind every day for at least 30 minutes. And when I say feed your mind, my teacher Jim Rohn used to say, miss a meal, but don't miss reading for 30 minutes. And I don't mean reading the web or your social media bullshit or Twitter. I mean reading a real book that you've selected because it's going to make you grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. Something that makes you think, something that gives you a strategy, not some cute little blog post that you can read in 5 minutes. I mean something that's going to make you not be mental candy, something that's going to produce a different result. Because our lives are the result of the input. Input a bunch of garbage and get garbage out. So I would like never miss reading, and then I started listening to audios when I was really young. And the great thing about audios is you can do what I call net time, no extra time. So the biggest challenge we have is when am I going to read? When am I going to do this? When am I going to do all these things? The answer is it doesn't take any extra time. If you use net time, you can do it while you're cleaning the house, while you're working out, going for a walk, when you're driving in your car should be your new university, where you're feeding your mind. Because if you don't feed your mind, weeds grow automatically. You don't have to work on growing weeds. They're going to be there if you don't do something to replace it. So every day, 30 minutes of either audio or a book, something that's going to make you grow. It'll feed your mind. It'll keep the momentum going. So this won't be just the one burst. This will be the one that got you going. And then you keep the momentum by doing this. And then finally, and most importantly, many people, the most silly question I'm asked in the media all the time for 40 years is, don't you have bad days? Don't you get upset? Don't these things happen? Of course, but I said I don't stay there. I've trained myself like an athlete trains their muscles. I've trained my emotional muscles, which, by the way, I think your emotional and spiritual muscles are the most important ones. Courage unused, does it grow or shrink? Which one? Faith unemployed, unused, does it grow or diminish? Diminishes. Passion unexpressed, does it expand or shrink? So the most important muscles that change your life are those mental, emotional, spiritual muscles. If we develop them more, we're going to experience more. So the way I do that is through a process I call priming. And this is the part that I really want you to get because it's really simple. Most of us, have you ever seen someone do something and thought to yourself, what the F is wrong with this idiot? Who's ever had that thought? How many of you ever done something yourself and thought, what the F am I doing? Okay? Many times we think we're thinking our own thoughts when we're not. We've been primed by the environment to think a certain way and we don't even realize it. Now, sometimes that's done consciously by marketers or advertisers. That's a simplistic example. But a more powerful example is what happens in your daily life. So let me give you a couple examples so you become aware of the power of priming. And then I want to show you how you can consciously prime your own mind and body and emotion so you naturally go where you want to go as opposed to hoping you go there. So some of the studies on priming have shown that what you think are your thoughts actually got there because something in the environment that you're no longer noticing. So an example of this would be, they did a study and they took 2 actors and they both approached 100 people each, and the actors were designed to do the exact same thing. They walk up to people, they have the same facial expression, and they'd say, well, you're sitting there, excuse me, could you hold this for me for 1 second while I grab my phone? And they hand you this cup of coffee. And then they reach in their pocket to get their phone for 2 seconds, and they put it back real fast, and they go, thank you so much, and they take it back. And every time they did it exactly the same way with all the people, 200 people, 100 each. Each person did 100 people, but 50 of those people they gave hot coffee to. 50 of the people they gave iced coffee to. Now listen to this. This is mind-boggling. After 35 to 45 minutes roughly, a person walks by outdoors or at the mall, wherever they did this. They have a checkboard, clipboard, and they go, excuse me, we'll give you $20 if you'll give us 3 minutes of your time to read these 3 paragraphs and answer 2 questions. 95% of people do it. $20, 3 minutes, I'll do it. And they read these 3 paragraphs, which is this story about this main protagonist. And then the 2 questions are, tell us what's the first emotion that you link to the main character, and what's the second one? Those are the 2 questions. When they do this with people they handed hot coffee to, 80% of the people, 81% to be exact, roughly 80, 81, say that the person they read the story about is generous and warm. Sometimes they have the word loving, but generous and warm is always there. The people who had the exact same presentation 34 or 40 minutes earlier were given iced coffee, 80%, there's a 1% difference, which is statistically irrelevant. 80% of them say the person is cold and uncaring. And the only difference is 35 or 40 minutes earlier, somebody handed you a hot or cold cup of coffee. That's wild, isn't it?
Mr. Shove said to me, I don't think your current bank balance is a true indicator of your level of intelligence. I was happy to hear that. He said, I think you have plenty of talent and ability, and that you're much smarter than your bank balance indicates. And that turned out to be true. I was much smarter. My question to him was, then why isn't my bank balance bigger? And he said, you don't have enough reason for accomplishing great things. If you had enough reasons, you could do incredible things. You have enough intelligence, but not enough reason. That's the key. If you had enough reason. In my years of study, I've also discovered this. Reasons come first and answers come second. Life has a strange way of hiding all the answers and disclosing them only to people who have been inspired to look for them, who have reasons to look for them. Put another way, when you know what you want and you want it badly enough, you will find ways to get it. The answers, the methods, the solutions will become evident to you. Hey, what if you had to be rich? Are there any books and tapes on the subject? The answer is yes. There are plenty of good ones. But if you don't have to be rich, you probably won't read the books or listen to the tape. What drives us to find the answers is necessity. So work on your reasons first, answers second. Now, what are some of the reasons for doing well? It varies from person to person. I'm sure that if you did a little soul searching, you could come up with a fairly strong list of reasons why you want to accomplish great things. There are personal reasons, sometimes uniquely personal reasons. Some people do well for the recognition. Some do well because of the way it makes them feel. They love the feeling of being a winner. That's one of the best reasons.
My mom this morning knew I wasn't feeling good. She goes, honey, you need to cancel that talk. I'm like, Mom, I can't cancel on these people. It's like, you work so hard. Why does it matter? I go, Mom, I'm helping them. She goes, oh, then you need to go because they're about service. Okay, so in your life, I'll go a little bit more here, you guys. In your life, if you combine understanding your mess can be repurposed, understanding I'm just like you, understanding the RAS, understanding changing your identity, understand bending time, you have a shot. Combined with this industry, combined with the information you're getting. But if you don't change your identity, do you know how many people I've had as friends that got wealthy that aren't anymore? More than I have that are still wealthy. Do you know how many friends I have who lost a lot of weight and got in shape and aren't in shape anymore? Do you know how many friends I have that had a great relationship and marriage that aren't in that relationship or marriage? Does this sound familiar, Tim? Do you want to know why? Their internal thermostat and all that crap back. I ain't going back. I know where I am. I got to change that thermostat. By the way, you change the thermostat through your association. Change the thermostat. By the way, associations read books, follow them on social media, listen to their podcasts, their audios, all that stuff. Subscribe to my podcast. It's on iTunes. Listen to my YouTube. It's all free. I make no money. This is work. My podcast cost me about $1 million. I do it to help people. I'm here today to help you. I was paid to be here today, but it's one of the only things I do to get paid anymore, to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to change your life. I spent the first 45 years of my life building my legacy and my dream, and I want to spend the second half helping other people build theirs. I feel like it's my calling and my mission in my life is to help people. It's sort of my form of ministry. I trickle God in there just a little bit, but not enough to be offensive. I give people the tools, skills, and inspiration to do it. I want to change the world. I want 1 billion people to change their lives and be a force for good. And let me explain to you why. I think the world is more screwed up and divided than it's ever been in the history of mankind. You're either a Democrat or a liberal or a Republican or a this or a that or black against white. If you in our country right now, evidently, if you're a white male, your enemy are brown people who are coming across our border, right? If that's not your enemy, then if you're a Christian, your enemy is a Muslim. If that's not your enemy, then if you're black, your enemy is white privileged males, right? By the way, really your enemy, if they're a Christian, white privileged, successful, married male, then they're really bad guys, right? And what we do is we enemy each other constantly in this world. We're more divided than we've ever been. People are broke. They're struggling. They want to blame somebody. The bottom line is people don't like their lives. They're not happy with their lives. They're looking for someone to blame. Politicians, Trump and Obama, I don't care who you like, they're both incredible at getting you to subtly blame someone else for your conditions.
Those are confidants, and every person, not just every leader, every person needs a few confidants in your life with whom you can be transparent, and then you won't be so lonely all the time. This man is in a cave because there's nobody walking with him. There's nobody who's got his rhythm. There's nobody who's got his pace. And then there are constituents. And this is the vast majority. This is the big category of what happens in church. Constituents are distinctly different from confidants. Confidants are for you. Constituents are for what you are for. They line up with the cause. They're called to the cause. They join your church because you feed homeless people. They join your church because of your foreign missions. They join your church because you're going to heaven. They join your church because you believe in faith and you teach the word. They join your church. They are not for you now. They are not for you. They are for what you are for. They're going your way. They are for what you're for. What's the highway we came in on? What's the number? I-5. You're on I-5. They're on I-5. You're going in the same direction. They're going going your way. They are for what you are for. They're not for you. And you have to understand that because they're attracted to the direction you're going in. But if they see a car that will get them there quicker, they will leave you because they were never for you. They were for where you were going. And if somebody else can get them there quicker than you, they will hop out of your car and dive into their car and go down the road because they were never attracted to you. They were attracted to your direction. And these are constituents. They are for what you are for. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that until you mistake a constituent for a confidant. And you have a personal relationship with a public person and you think they are there for you, and they were never there for you. They were there for what you were for. And then there are comrades. The third category is comrades. Now, comrades are not for you, and they are not for what you are for. They are just against what you are against. They're comrades. They are attracted to you because you have a common enemy, and they will be with you as long as the fight exists. But when the fight is over, they are gone. It's like the past election. I'm going to be very careful because we get in politics, we'll all be fighting. In the past election, when McCain and Hillary Clinton got together to attack Obama, McCain and Clinton wouldn't get together about nothing except they were both against Obama. Sometimes people only join you because you have a common enemy. They're comrades. They're with you in the struggle. And in the trenches, they're wearing your uniform. But when the fighting stops, you will be attacked in your own foxhole. If you bring a comrade too close to you, when your comrade gets through shooting at who you're shooting at, they will shoot you. Because they were never for you, and they were never for what you were for. They were just against what you were against. You'd be surprised at the people who fight against stuff, just all kinds of stuff, abortion, same-sex marriage, all kinds of stuff. They're against the same stuff, but they're not for each other. They join together in the fight. You, as a leader, have to know why people hooked up with you. Because if you misallocate a person into the wrong category, you will be brokenhearted and wounded and end up in the cave because you thought a constituent was a confidant, thought a comrade was a constituent. When the fight was over, they got shot in your own foxhole. And I don't care what you hear about on TV, there is no such thing as friendly fire. A bullet is a bullet. Where in the all-fire Balimity did we get friendly fire from? Get closer. Friendly fire. There is no friendly fire. You shot me. What is a friendly bullet? A bullet go in your hind end saying, I like you, you know? Woo, you know, what's up with that?
Because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Who's with me on this, right? You make everybody else feel great. I mean, it's a horrible example. I hate it, but we all know an extraordinary spirit that took his own life just recently. Probably lit up more human beings than almost anybody alive when it comes to humor and joy. He made everybody else feel happy but himself. It's sad. You don't want that to be you. If there's any gift he can give besides his joy is the evidence of what you don't want to move towards. Nobody in this room is going to move towards that, but we do it at a little level. We die a little bit along the way by giving up what we really desire and believe in. And my goal is to make sure to see if we can wake that up. So, and by the way, fulfillment is as unique as there are people. Achievement, there's laws, right? You do this. Money, there are laws. Your body, there's laws. We all have biochemical, special, unique identities, but there's certain fundamentals. If you do them in mass, you're going to be overweight. If you do them differently, you're going to be fit and strong. Same thing with money. But fulfillment is as unique as art. Art is what one person thinks is beautiful, somebody else can think is ugly, and that's perfectly fine. Have you ever gone to an art museum and you see this big red square and they go, $10 million. You go, you gotta be kidding me. $10 million for that freaking square? I'll draw you a square. But someone else, no, look at the texture, the taste, the flavor. I can taste the paint from here. They have a different way of being fulfilled, right? So those are the two kind of lessons of life. So this is what I'd like to do to help you with both those today if you want to play with. Number one, let's take a look at what will give you the edge. Who's up for having a competitive edge in anything you do? Say I. And it's not BS and it's not positive thinking. It's something you can test because the edge is what's going to get more out of you. Second, I'd like to show you how to create a breakthrough. Who here has an area of your life where there's something you've struggled with for a while and you're sick of struggling with it and you're sick of making excuses and you want to actually change it today? Who's got one of those in your life? Say I. If you want to play full out, I can show you that. And the third element really affects the other two, and it's really the one that affects business and life, and that's the power of engagement. All of these are tied to engagement.